Hey, what is up guys? So this is going to be one of the best decks in 2015 going into the April ban list. Let's go ahead and kick it off with Jeff Jones' Nekroz. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, you'll notice that there's one card missing. The last card is totally up to you on what the heck you want to actually run. Because of the ban list, obviously we had to make some adjustments. And he was actually playing 44 cards, I believe. But now that the ban list is here, we can obviously, make the deck a little bit more consistent. If you want to, you can actually drop this card and, change it up. But I really do like this card, especially if you're going to play 3 of the Shrit. I mean, the deck has super consistency anyways. But sometimes you can kind of recycle stuff. Pretty nice. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, first off, 1 copy of Dance Princess. Oh, by the way, if you just want a net deck, the YDK file will be down below in the description box if you don't need explanations. So if you get this card against someone that uses Secret Village, it's pretty nice. They usually end up losing the duel because they're either A, playing Rogue, or they're playing Shaddoll's, which doesn't generally have a good matchup against this deck in the first place. Next up, there is 3 copies of Senju, 3 copies of Manju, 1 Jin to instant win sometimes, 3 copies of Shrit, which is something a lot of players, some players even were playing 1 of this, but because he's playing 3, I wouldn't have had added this, but of course you can go ahead and take this card out and just mess around with the numbers if you want. I just like this card if you're playing 3. It just makes the deck even more consistent than it already is. We did technically lose a little bit of consistency because of preparation of rights, but yeah, you can also search out the Colossus anyways, and that definitely does help out. And then we have 2 copies of Effect Veiler and 3 copies of Shrit. And we have 1 copies of Decisive Armor. It just helps against the matchup if you get Cleese or anything just have large attack, and it's just not too bad of a card in general. And then 1 Trishula, 3 Valkyries that Nekroz of I negate your attacks, and monster still stays. It's just, I think this card is just absolutely crazy. This card should have been hit too. And then there's 1 tech Nekroz going near. This is another card I feel like that you can drop out if you want to. A lot of players, when they were main decking one of these, sometimes it came in handy. Sometimes players just like, oh dude, I didn't even care for it. So this one's kind of an optional card as well. Next up, there's 2 copies of Brenna because you're going to play 2, but technically Unicorn Searchers are done anyways, so whatever on that. And then we have 3 Unicorn and then 3 Colossus. Then we got Regeki, the 1 Preparation Rights, and then 2 Mirror, 2 Kaleidoscope, and 2 Cycles, 2, 2, 2, 2. And then 3 copies of Mystical. I know Vandy's is technically at 1, but sometimes you gotta deal with skill drain, sometimes you gotta deal with other random stuff, and I'd rather just be like, nah. I mean, this deck is so strong that just being able to get out your monsters is really key. And then Vandy's obviously can give that instant win sometimes. And then 1 Rhoda, but you can, like I said, drop this. This is like totally optional. For the optional cards over here, because, of course, Jeff Jones was playing 3, I really just like the Rhoda. But this is my suggestion. If you want Asian Eyes' suggestion on the build, I recommend Ring of Destruction. I think it's a pretty cool card, especially if, you make a monster, they try to make a monster that gets over whatever monster you already have out. You go ahead and say, no, that monster is not going to get over my monster, and you make your opponent take damage, and then you go to direct attack next turn. It's just, I know that because you're not going to have any other real back row, that they can obviously, if they have face down MSC, yeah, of course they're going to hit it. But this card is just too good not to play. That's my personal opinion. Some people like Book of Taiyu, or there's, actually, there's Book of Eclipse is also another great card. Actually, no, it's not even this card. This is the wrong book, guys. It's Book of Eclipse. Whatever. They look very, very similar. My bad on that. Book of Eclipse is also a pretty good card of Eclipse. There it is over here. So yeah, that's the card. Sorry. Again, they do look pretty similar indeed. So this helps you get rid of Jin Lock-in as well. So it's like, oh, maybe Christia. Not that anyone really plays that, but Melodus Diva maybe can throw it in there. So yeah, it's not a bad card at all. And then there's also Dark Hole and Book of Moon. I mean, basically these are kind of the same. This does target, and so it could make it so you can sometimes not get your effect off. Sometimes Book of Eclipse is better than Book of Moon, but the majority of the time Book of Moon is better, but you never know. Sometimes in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You just can't target the thing, Shout out to the Noble Knights. But yeah, so this, oh, we totally forgot to go over the extra deck. My bad on that. So as far as the extra deck, there's 1 Dragon Master Knight, a Star Eater, a Leo, 2 Herald of Arclight, 1 Crazy Box, 1 Ragna Zero, Castell, Diamond Dyer, Exciton Knight, Lavolvo Chain, Daigusto Emerald, Dweller, Cowboy, and Rhapsody in Berserk. There's also another card that I personally really like. It's the Rebellion. I really like this card. I highly recommend you guys, if you guys maybe don't have some of these, maybe because, I mean, this card's usually just used for skill drain. But if you just happen to not own one of these cards, or like, you know what, this card's expensive, I don't have this, but you have this, I really recommend this card because sometimes it can just make it game because you're able to just get out that extra damage in, and basically your opponent, loses attack and you're gaining attack. So I really liked the XYZ, the Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. But other than that, guys, this has been the deck profile for Jeff Jones, minus of course a few cards because we had to adjust to the ban list. This is a deck that is basically geared towards the ban list. Like I said, go ahead and actually make your modifications to the deck the way you like it. But yeah, this is going to be a good core for you guys to start out with. And a lot of players started playing Effect Failures because it really does technically help out. Another card that you guys can actually play that really helps out is Mind Crush, because when you know exactly what your opponent has in your hand, it definitely can help out, because if you know they have no back row and you know a Trishler is going to completely destroy them, yeah, it's pretty good just to have that knowledge. That's a card a lot of players have been main decking, even in Nekroz, where the deck is super consistent anyways. It just helps you get that extra edge on your opponent, knowing what your opponent has in your hand, and their hand is very good. It's probably one of the most popular side deck cards in general, but I would say that this is probably a really good card that you can also swap in and out. If maybe you don't like Effect Failure, or you don't like some of the cards we talked about, go ahead and swap out the last two cards. But for the most part, I think this is 38 card right here is pretty standard and it is pretty meta. But anyways, yeah, Jeff Jones is the guy that actually built the deck, so I can't take credit. Shoutouts to him. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and have some fun playing some Nekroz. It's a pretty good deck. It's relatively strong, and I think that it'll probably get hit again because the deck is still going to relatively do well. So if you already have the deck, hey, you basically didn't have to really do any modifications to it other than maybe adding in that Ring of Destruction. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Asian Eyes signing out.